I'll take it. I'll.
I will take it. The New York Mets now sit a game and a half back, and that is exactly the reason that I am rocking the New York bucket hat with the shades, baby. You know why I'm wearing the shades on today's episode 62? We're going to start to keep track of these episodes too, because why not? I'm rocking the shades on today's episode, Nets bucket hat, because quite frankly, my future, the Mets' future, it looks bright, baby. It looks bright. Not only is Juan Soto coming to the Mets in the offseason, and we are going to get to that in just a little bit, but the Mets now sit a game and a half back against the Braves for the final wild card spot in the National League. And guess who the Braves face tonight on Sunday Night Baseball? Oh, the Philadelphia Phillies. One of the yeah, I hate the Phillies. I hate Philadelphia. I hate Pennsylvania. That state, the city of Philadelphia sucks. But at the same time, let's freaking go Phillies, baby. Let's go Phillies. Because if the Phillies win, then we're a half game back tonight. So let's go Phillies. Let's freaking go. A great road trip for the Mets. They cap off a sweep with a 2-0 victory over the Chicago White Sox. And guess what? They went 6-3 on that road trip. That's just what they needed. They were just 4 games back, literally like 3 days ago, 4 days ago, not even. And now they sit a game and a half back, potentially a half game back if the Phillies take care of business with the Braves tonight. So let's go Phillies tonight. Francisco Lindor continuing his MVP push. You take him off the New York Mets. Most valuable player. Lindor has been the most valuable player, in my opinion, in the National League. Does that have to do with some bias? Maybe a little bit, but at the same time, look at his freaking numbers. He's got 29 home runs, 831 OPS, a 269 batting average, 80 RBIs on the year. Lindor has, quite frankly, been the best player in the National League since he's been moved to the leadoff spot. I don't care that Shohei Ohtani is going to have a 50-50 season. Oh my God, Shohei Ohtani is going to have 50 stolen bases and hit 50 home runs. Stolen bases, let's be real, guys. They are inflated in today's game. We are in an era where stolen bases are easier to come by than they were in the past. Jose Reyes, when he had 60 stolen bases, I believe it was when 06 or 07, Reyes stole a lot of bases. That's just story of short. Okay, Ellie De La Cruz, quite frankly, he has a lot of stolen bases, but at the same time, we're in an era now where stolen bases are easier to come by. So stealing the bases is basically promoted. Literally, the commissioner has made rule adjustments to promote stealing bases. So I don't care that Shohei Ohtani is going to have 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. Guess what? He hasn't played the field. Lindor has played the field. And it's not that he just played the field. It's not like, oh yeah, you know what? He plays defense. He plays first base. He plays third base. He plays the corner outfield position. And I'm not saying those positions aren't hard, but what I'm saying is Francisco Lindor is playing the hardest defensive position while being the best offensive shortstop, probably maybe even the second best offensive player, I'd say, in the National League right now. And also, like I said before, most valuable player. You take Lindor off the Mets. You saw today his home run. That's what won them the game. His home run won them the game. His 29th home run of the season. He's about to hit 30 in back-to-back years, and he's having his best season of his career, and we'll get to that later. And I was a guy who even said we need to see the Cleveland Lindor, and we're not seeing the Cleveland Lindor this year. We're seeing the New York Mets Lindor. That's what we're seeing this year. He's been that good. He's having the best year of his career. And we're going to get into that later. We're talking about the MVP case for Lindor right now. Ohtani, big whoop, 50 stolen bases. Like I said before, scroll back if you're watching this on replay. Ohtani, he's not the most valuable player. He's just not. You take him off the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are still where they are. You take Lindor off the Mets, and the Mets are not where they are. It's plain and simple. And like I said before, Lindor is playing the hardest position in baseball, and not only is he playing it good, he's playing it at an elite level. And like I said on last week's pod, Elly De La Cruz has over 25 errors this year. Lindor has less than 14. So, and we talk about Elly De La Cruz as one of the best defensive middle infielders in the game. So, that's all I'm saying right there. Lindor, not only is he playing the hardest defensive spot in the game, he's playing it arguably at the highest level out of all shortstops in baseball right now. And he's probably the second best offensive player in the National League. Cool. I know Marcell Ozuna's having a career year. I know Ohtani's having a career year. And you can make that case, oh, well, these guys are having career years. But if you take those two guys off their team, are their teams in playoff spots? Yes. If you take Lindor off the Mets, are they a game and a half back of a playoff spot right now? No, they are not. Lindor is the most valuable player. He showed it again tonight. Today. We're only 5:55, so it's tonight right now. Lindor, man, he's having a great year. He's making me, like 3 years ago, I was never a Lindor hater, but I was always, what I would say is a Lindor questioner. A guy who's been like, you know what? This guy's coming to the Mets, and we're calling him an MVP caliber player. Let's see what we got. And then in 2021, he sucked, quite frankly. Francisco Lindor in 2021, man, he sucked. And in 2022, he made a lot of people eat their words because he was arguably the best offensive player. Some people could say it's Pete Alonso, and I get that, but one of those two was definitely the best offensive players. 2023, undoubtedly, Lindor was the best player. And undoubtedly this season, Francisco Lindor is the reason the Mets are a game and a half back of the final wildcard spot in the National League. So, simple as that. Simple as that. What's up, Yuki? How we doing, man? Let's go Mets, baby. We're a game and a half back. Braves facing the Phils. How we feel, Yuki? How we feel? I'm feeling pretty good. I think the Phillies get the job done tonight. We'll talk about that game in a little bit, a little later on in the pod. But right now, let's talk about today's game overall, because Sean Manaea, man. Sean freaking Manaea, another fantastic start. And, you know, I got to give a shout out to another Mets podcaster right now. I'll consider myself a Mets podcaster. I got a bunch of Mets podcast stuff, but I got to give a shout out to one of the best Mets podcasters in the game, Keith and Key over at Shea and Sons, man. Keith specifically, no offense to Key, but Keith was very big on Sean Manaea. He was very big on Sean Manaea when the Mets signed him in the offseason. I'm not going to lie, I was questioning it. I was questioning a little bit. You know, overall, you look at his numbers, I thought he was a half wonder, but he's proven me wrong. So I got to give credit to Keith over at Shea and Sons. Make sure you go check out them on X and YouTube and Spotify. I believe they're also on Apple as well. So make sure you go check out the Shea and Sons podcast if you're into the Mets. But yeah, overall, Sean Manaea has been great. You look at his overall numbers in 2024 after the start today. He's 11-5, earned his 11th victory today after he capped off the sweep. Get the brooms out. He's got an overall 3.35 ERA on the year at 154 Ks. So Sean Manaea is continuing to be a strong starter for the Mets all year. He's been consistent. He's been the best starter. And we're going to get into David Peterson in a little bit, because Peterson, a lot of people are saying he's been the best Mets starter. And he has as of late. But Manaea consistently all year has gotten the job done. I mean, listen, we've needed a left-hander, and we got two. We got two this year. One, Peterson finally stepped it up, finally proven why he's a first-round draft pick. And Manaea, I mean, he's continuing He's carrying that momentum over from the second half he had last year with the Giants. He had a great second half, and he's having a great year with the Mets. And if the Mets do make the postseason, I think Manaea is the guy you got to give the ball to game one, wherever. I mean, unless, it's push come to shove, that last series means, the last series could be playoff games too. It could be too. So maybe it's not Manaea game one, but if he's healthy, healthy and available, and the Mets make the playoffs, he's the game one guy. What's up, Yuki? Mets, ask how I feel after the Philly series is over. Yes, that is true. That is true. But listen, I talked about it a few weeks ago on the, I think it was episode 60, going into the stretch against the Diamondbacks, heading over on the West on this road trip against the White Sox, Diamondbacks, and Padres. The Mets needed their starters. They needed their starters. They need, the relievers and the offense has been phenomenal all year. And that sounds crazy because usually the Mets starting pitching is strong. And usually it's the bullpen that sucks. And it's the lineup that makes us want to lose our minds. And the lineup today, it kind of did. But we had a phenomenal starter in our bullpen. Edwin Diaz, he blew that save a few games ago, but his last 3 appearances, he's been lights out. Struck out the side tonight in the save. Well, today in the save. Diaz, 3 earned runs, I believe, since he returned from injury. So shut the hell up if you're worried about Edwin Diaz, is what I'm saying. But Manaea and the starters overall have been phenomenal. They've been phenomenal. And Manaea today, 7 innings, no earned runs allowed. I mean, that's what you need. That's what you want in this stretch of games. That's what you need. You need the starters to go out there and dominate. David Stearns, the pitching lab that he brought over, it's working, baby. It is working. Manaea having a great year, had a great start today, and he's great. He's going all out. He's going all out. And David Peterson, let's get into him because looking overall at his games this year, he's only allowed more than 2 earned runs in 2 starts this year. Just 2. So 14 out of his 16 starts, he's allowed 2 earned runs or less. David Peterson is having a freaking fantastic year. A fantastic year. Overall, he's 8-1, 2.83 ERA against a playoff team. I mean, we've been saying this guy needs a test. This guy needs a test against a playoff team. He went out there and he shoved. Only 2 earned runs across 7 innings against the Diamondbacks in his most recent start. So, David Peterson, I trust him going forward. If you don't trust him, you should, because Peterson has been fantastic this year. He was a first-round draft pick for a reason. He struggled in his career early on, but this year, for some reason, I don't know why, I'm not going to go out there and tell you that I'm some freaking pitching coach. No, I'm not. But David Peterson, numbers-wise, he's showing me that I should trust him. I should trust him, and so should you. So should you. And another young pitcher that's having a great year is Jose Butto, baby. Out of the bullpen, like I said before, the Mets bullpen has been a part of the team where you don't really need to worry about, and that's a shock. And part of that is because Jose Butto has joined the bullpen this year across 64 innings of work. He's got a 2.65 ERA, 69 Ks across those 69 innings. So Butto, he's been a strong point in the bullpen, and I think we're going to see him a lot more going down the stretch because he's one of those guys that Mendoza has shown trust in, and I think Mets fans also show trust in him. So can the Mets make the postseason? Hell yeah, I think they can. Why? Because they have their closer, Edwin freaking Diaz. I get it. Get on him all you want for the blown save a few games ago, but his last 3 appearances, 5 innings, 5 scoreless innings in his last 3 appearances. 3 scoreless innings, I should say, actually. No, actually 5. Yeah, 5. 7 Ks in those 5 scoreless innings. So I think Edwin Diaz, we don't really have to worry about him. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yuki, I don't think that bullpen stinks, man. I don't think that bullpen stinks. I really don't. Sevy pitching, Sevy not backing up plays. I'm not too worried about Sevy backing up plays because if Sevy pitches well, I don't really care about him backing up plays. So really what I'm more worried about is Sevy pitching because he has been up and down. Over in the second half, you have to admit Luis Severino has been up and down. I mean, he went 9 scoreless. He had another great start after that, but in his most recent start this past week, he sucked. He sucked. So what Severino are we going to get in this final 25-game stretch? What Severino are we going to get? Because if we get the best Severino, if we get the best version of him, at least this season's best version of Severino, I'm confident that the Mets will make the playoffs. But if we don't, then yeah, I'll be a little worried. But the pitching, I'm not too worried about overall. Like I said before, Manaea, Peterson, even Quintana a little bit. You know, I like these guys. Tyler McGill on Friday night, he had a good start and his return. So I like where we're at. I like where we're at starting rise. I like where we're at bullpen wise. And I also like where we're at lineup wise. But at the same time, the Mets have one guy in their lineup who all year long has just been subpar. I mean, let's be frank. Pete Alonso has been subpar. He had his 30th home run the other night for his 3rd consecutive season, joining Mike Piazza as one of the only Mets to do so. And yeah, Pete Alonso, this is a down season for him, and he's got great numbers. But let's be real, guys. Pete Alonso with runners on has not provided. He hasn't. Over 17 of his 30 home runs have come with the bases empty. We need this guy to get hot. If the Mets want to make the playoffs, like quite frankly, if there's one X factor down these stretch of the games, it's Pete Alonso. Lindor has been the MVP. I am fully confident in Lindor to continue what he's been doing. I'm fully confident in the starting rotation. I am fully confident in the bullpen. But Pete Alonso, he is the guy I have my eyes locked in on. Pause. He's the guy I am looking at because if he gets hot, the Mets make the playoffs. It's that simple. It is that simple. We saw it in 2022. When he gets hot, when he gets going, when he is at his best, the Mets are not a team to play against. And with the way Lindor has been swinging the bat, with the way Lindor has been playing overall, with the way the starters have been throwing the ball, with the way the relievers have been throwing the ball, and even Mark Vientos, who I'm going to get into in just a second, if Pete Alonso has a hot stretch over these next few games, over this last stretch, Mets make the playoffs. It's that simple. Everybody's like, how did the Mets make the playoffs? How did the Mets make the playoffs? Does Lindor have to continue playing like an MVP? Yeah, he does. Do the starters need to keep having success? Yeah, they do. But quite frankly, if the Mets really want to make the playoffs, it's Pete Alonso. He's the guy. Lindor is the guy in the lineup, on the team. It's Lindor's team. But Pete Alonso is supposed to be his co-star. In 2022, the reason the Mets won over 100 games, it was because Lindor and Alonso were swinging the bat well. It's just been Lindor. But if Alonso joins him, it'll be at the perfect time because the Mets are only a game and a half back. Could be a half game back after tonight when the Braves play the Phillies. So if Alonso heats up, Mets make the playoffs. It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. They need him more than ever before. A little poetry there. But yeah, Mets overall, they're in a good spot. Only a game and a half back, so we're right there. You look at their next few games. Let's take a look at their next few games. We got the Red Sox. 70 and 67 on the year, third in the AL East. Then we go ahead and face the Reds at home, 65 and 73. We should beat up on them. Blue Jays as well, 67 and 72. We should beat up on them. We got a little bit of a challenge when we take on the Phillies at home. Then we host the Nationals. And then the Phillies again. We should beat up on them. So really, Mets got to take advantage of this soft schedule coming up. We're better than the Red Sox. We're better than the Reds. We're better than the Blue Jays. You win those 3 upcoming series, the Mets should be in the playoff spot. And then from there, against the Phillies, you fight. You freaking fight. You at least got to take one of them. Because we got 7 games down the stretch total against the Phillies in September. You got to take at least 3 of those. The Nationals, you win that series, you take 2 out of 3. Braves, you got to take at least 2 out of 3. You have to. And then the Brewers, same thing. I mean, 80 and 57, they've been dominating all year. One of the best teams in the MLB. So the Mets, these next few weeks, we got a little bit of a soft schedule, but then we hit a rough road. We got to take advantage of these softer opponents these next few weeks for sure. We're going to take a little break. We're going to get into the Yankees. We're going to get into the Knicks. We're going to get into the Jets. We're going to get into the Giants. All up next on the Jimbo Nolan podcast. Thank you guys for you guys watching. If you guys are on X, please hop over to YouTube, because why the hell not? YouTube's on my Twitter account. So make sure you click that link, head over to YouTube and watch this video on YouTube. Help me out, guys. I got 302 subscribers. I'm trying to get 350 pretty soon. But yeah, we're going to take a little break. We're going to hop into some Yankees talk. But the Mets, man, they've been doing well. Lindor's been an MVP candidate. And I'm not one to gloat usually. And I'm not one to say I told you so, but I told you. Average, 15 home runs, 44 RBIs. If we get that Lindor for a full year, and now I'm not saying last year he didn't have a all year. Look at the numbers. Last year, 2023, Lindor was a top shortstop. He was an all MLB shortstop. 30-30. He was a beast. But in the last 80 games, the second half, that's when Lindor really turned it up. If we get that Lindor for a full season, the Mets are going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs. And Lindor will be an MVP candidate. He has MVP potential. I've said it since the Mets have traded for him. Francisco Lindor has the talent, has the ability to win an MVP. He is that good. But he's inconsistent at times. I cannot ignore that. But over the last 80 games of 2023, he was pretty consistent. And he was probably the best, second best, right after Corey Seager. But he was arguably the best shortstop in all of baseball the last 80 games. That's what Lindor can be. And if we get that for a full year, not only will he be an MVP candidate, but the Mets will be in the postseason. He's that good. Lindor is that good. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP, but I've been saying it since we've traded for him. He has it in him. He does have it in him. Last year, undoubtedly his best year. Second half, he was the best shortstop in baseball. We get that for a full year. Mets are going to the playoffs. Let's go over to the DH, and then we'll get into the Yankees. Jorge Soler wants at least 3 years. If he wants 3 years and he's going to get 3 years, stay away from it. Last year, he was great, 30-plus home runs. Probably had the best year of his career. But he's also 31. He's had 11 years. It took him 11 years to have that type of year. I'm not saying that he's going to have that year for the next 3 years. I would stay away. So that gets me into my next guy, J.D. Martinez. I wrote a piece on it just last week. J.D. Martinez is a perfect fit with the Mets. Perfect fit. You got guys like Vientos. You got guy like Beatty. You got guys like Francisco Alvarez. You got all these young guys that you want to have you want to have them make an impact for the Mets eventually in the future. Not only can JD Martinez help you now, but he's not going to take away at bats from those guys, one. And two, he could help those young guys. And he could be the DH for this year. He could help the Mets in 2023. That's really the simple answer. Why is he a perfect fit with the Mets? Because he would help them win in 2024. Down the road, is he going to affect the Mets? No, because it would only take a 1 or 2 year deal. The guy's 38. And guess what? I'm not going to say he's washed because guess what? He's 3 years in a row. He's made the All-Star team 3 consecutive years. JD Martinez is the furthest thing from washed up. Just last year, 33 home runs, over 100 RBIs, 271 batting average. Lindor, Alonso, JD Martinez, Francisco Alvarez. 4 guys right there who have 30-plus home run potential. He makes the Mets lineup a playoff lineup. Mets, go out there and sign JD Martinez. Complete this lineup. What do you guys think? Should the Mets sign JD Martinez? I think he's a great fit here. But then again, I'm not David Stearns. So only time will tell. Spring training starts tomorrow. So I don't think he's going to get signed before spring training, but before the regular season starts, they got to figure out what they're going to do with the DH. Is it Vientos? Is it Beatty? Or do they go out there and they get a veteran like JD Martinez who would help them win in 2000? Woo! We're back, baby. We are back. We're going to get into a lot of Yankees talk in just a bit, but I do want to cap some Mets talk off with Mark Vientos because Mark Vientos has been having a great season, so I got to give him some credit on the pod. Overall on the year, 282 batting average, 877 OPS, 21 home runs, 57 RBIs, 2 for 4 tonight. Today, I should say. I keep saying tonight. So used to saying games are just tonight. But yeah, Vientos, again, another great day at the dish. And you got to give him credit. All year, he has been phenomenal. I mean, you got to say the best offensive players on the Mets right now, I'd say are Lindor and Vientos. Nimmo is batting in the 230s right now, low 230s. He's been struggling. And we're going to get into him a lot next week if he continues that. Because we got to get him going as well, just like Alonso. But Vientos has been strong. Vientos has been great. And yes, too, Yuki as well. Jesse Winker, he's been fantastic as well. Today at the dish, I believe he was hitless, but going into today and his last 14 plate appearances, I believe it was like hitting over 500. So Winker has been a great trade acquisition by David Stearns. And, the Mets did need that guy to come in and, platoon with Starlin Marte. I'm excited for that going down the stretch. But Vientos, 282 batting average, 877 OPS, 21 home runs on the year. And this guy, I think he's a star. He's a star. You guys, I want you guys to comment. Let me know what you guys think because I want to know if I'm overreacting on his year. Because all year long, Vientos hasn't had a slump. He hasn't. He hasn't slumped. He's been consistent. He's hit for power. And Mendoza's rewarding him. He's hitting at the top of the lineup, and he's rewarding the team. So it's paying off. Vientos is having a great year. We were all like Brett Beatty, Francisco Alvarez, all this, all that. But it's Mark Vientos, man. It's Mark Vientos coming out of nowhere like an RKO. Randy Orton, baby. Mark Vientos has asserted himself as a star on the Mets this year. And, you got to give him credit because a lot of people wrote him off, including myself. I will not lie. I will not lie. And can we talk about Francisco Alvarez for a second? Yuki's got some comments about Vientos. Vientos is a star. Swaggy. Who's Swaggy, Yuki? Who is Swaggy? I'm not up to the I'm not up to date with these nicknames, I guess. But Francisco Alvarez, he's a guy I am starting to get worried about a little bit. Hitting 233 on the year, 6 home runs, 663 OPS on the year. Something's going on with Alvarez. I don't know what's going on, but you got to start asking questions. You definitely have to start asking questions about Francisco Alvarez. I know injuries are playing a role in his year, but even in the second half of last year, he was struggling. So I think we got to start worrying. I think we got to hit the panic button on Francisco Alvarez, guys. I think we do. But let's wrap it up on the Mets. Let's get into the Yankees a little bit. Yankees after today, I should say. I keep fucking up. 79-58. They lost another tough battle today against the Cardinals. They let up 14 runs. The Yankees pitching it sucked. It sucked. Rodon has sucked. Nestor Cortez has sucked. I mean, really, the only pitcher that you got confidence in right now, the Yankees starting staff, is Garrett Cole. And he's a guy who's coming off, he missed the whole entire first half of the year. But Nestor Cortez today, 4 innings pitched, 9 hits allowed, 5 earned runs. And his stats overall in the year, they suck. 8-10, 4.08 ERA. I mean, he was a guy all year long. All last year, I was saying, I mean, he's a one-year wonder. He had a great year in 2022, and every Yankee fan is expecting this guy to be an ace. He's not an ace. He's not a top-of-the-rotation starter. This is who Nestor Cortez is. So, would I hit the panic button on Nestor Cortez? Hell yeah, I would. Hell yeah, I would. And this is alarming because I'm a guy who said the Yankees are the favorite to win the World Series every single week. Every weekly podcast. By the way, happy Labor Day. Happy Labor Day. Tomorrow, but that's why we're doing the pod today. Every single pod since the MLB season started going into the 2024 season, I've said the Yankees are my pick to win the World Series. And I will honor that still and say that's still my pick. But goddamn, I'm worried. And every Yankee fan should be because the pitching sucks. You can't trust Clay Holmes. You can't trust Nestor Cortez. You can't trust a guy who Brian Cashman handed a $160 million contract to 2 years ago in Carlos Rodon because he sucks too. Who do you trust? Who do you trust with the ball? You cannot trust anybody besides Garrett Cole and maybe Tommy Canley to take the mound. You can't. You just cannot. You have to keep your fingers crossed and pray to God that Aaron Judge and Juan Soto and now Jazz Chisholm, who's been having a great tenure with the Yankees since he's been traded there, and Stanton somehow collectively hit 3 to 4 home runs a game. Because that's the only way the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. Because let's be real, a successful Yankee season isn't reaching the ALCS. It's not reaching the postseason. No, it's winning the freaking World Series. You have Garrett Cole, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. The goal should be to win the World Series. And the pitching stinks. And it's not on Aaron Boone. A lot of Yankees fans want to get on Aaron Boone for this, but it's not on him. You want to point fingers at somebody, you point fingers at Brian Cashman. And apparently he's not getting the money that that the Yankees want. So maybe you got to point the fingers at the owner. Maybe you do. So Yankees are in a rut right now for sure. The pitching sucks. Nestor Cortez stinks. Can the Yankees pitching be trusted in the playoffs? Because let's be real, Yankees are making the playoffs. They're making the playoffs. Whether it's a division that they win or a wild card that they clinch, they're going to the playoffs. So you gotta hit the panic button on the pitching because you gotta be worried for sure. I mean, overall, let's take a look at guys that you can trust. I mean, 14 runs tonight. You look at the Yankees pitching overall since June. Because really, the Yankees pitching was great in the start of the year, but since June, a 4.65 ERA. As a team, that's terrible. Cortez lets up 5 runs tonight. Jake Cousins, who's been pretty good all year. I'm not going to lie. He's got a 2.48 ERA even after letting up the 2 earned runs he let up tonight. And then Ron Marciano, Marisano, I don't even know how to say his name. Let's up 2 runs as well. Just across running it, 1 inning of work. So the Yankees, yeah, you got to be worried. You got to be worried. But let's go over some guys that you can trust in the bullpen before we get into the offense. Ian Hamilton, still out with a lat injury. But he's a guy who I would say we can trust. I mean, in 27 games this year, he's got a 4.55 ERA. But last year, 2.64 ERA across 58 innings of work. So the Yankees are praying to God he comes back because they need something. They need something. Anything they can get at this point. Clay Holmes, I mean, he sucked. You can't trust him. But he hasn't let up an earned run since August 18th. And only 2 earned runs allowed, actually, in August. So Clay Holmes, maybe he's on the come up a little bit on the right time. Nick Birdie, a guy you can trust. It's only been 12 games, though. 12 games, 12 Ks, 1.86 ERA. So maybe you got to trust him a little bit more when he comes back. Phil Brickford, former Met. How the hell can you trust him? You can't. Across 6 innings of work this year in total, he's let up 8 earned runs. So you can't trust him. There's really nobody that the Yankees can trust besides Tommy Kahnle in the bullpen right now. There's really nobody. Tommy Kahnle on the year, 1.56 ERA across 34.2 innings of work. He let up 2 earned runs actually tonight against the Cardinals, but other than that, first earned runs he's allowed since July 14th in his season debut. So, yeah, it's Tommy Kahnle, and that's about it that you trust in the Yankees bullpen. Other than that, it's panic button, panic button, panic button, panic button, panic button. That's all it is. Let's get into the offense, because if the Yankees do win the World Series, it's going to be the offense that gets the job done. Juan Soto, you got to be a little worried about him. His batting average is slipping down. His OPS is slipping down. Listen, Stephen A. fucked up. He said that he hits behind Aaron Judge, and I think at this point in the year, that might be a good idea, because Aaron Judge, quite frankly, doesn't need Juan Soto to be doing what he's doing. He doesn't. And we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But Soto has been struggling. His batting average slips under 300 this month. He's been over 300 for quite a while now. Yeah, August 21st, he hit 302. The whole month of July, he had a batting average over 300. So yeah, Soto, you got to be a little worried. I wouldn't be too worried, because he's one of the best hitters in the game. And today he went 1 for 5. And he's on a 3-game hitting streak. And a 3-game hitting streak, I'm going to say this guy sucks somehow. But listen, most people on a 3-game hitting streak, I'd say, you're doing a great job. But Juan Soto, he's not doing a great job. Over this 3-game hitting streak, he does have 2 doubles, but only 1 RBI. And before then, from August 22nd to August 28th, so against, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hitless games consecutively. And then before them, August 21st, he had a hit. And then between then, it's been a tough August. It's been a tough August for Juan Soto. Let's go over Juan Soto's numbers overall in August 2024. Let's see what we got. Juan Soto's batting .222 with 22 hits, 10 homers, 19 RBIs. I mean, 10 homers in August is pretty good. I'm not going to lie. But the .222 batting average is not good. And you look at his OPS, 929. That's pretty damn good. Holy shit. Juan Soto at his worst is still pretty damn good. But in general, Juan Soto, I mean, he's an MVP caliber player. We need him to play like that. Because if the Yankees pitching is going to suck, you need Juan Soto. I think that's fair for me to say. But Soto definitely needs to get going, especially down the stretch. But before we do get into his co-star Aaron Judge, I should say co-superstar Aaron Judge, let's get into some of the rots in the Yankees lineup. Anthony Volpe, 9 hits in his last 6 games. He's been heating up a little bit. .254 batting average, 691 OPS, 11 home runs, and 52 RBIs overall on the year. But besides the fact, Anthony Volpe, even though he's been pretty successful over his last 6 games, you take a look at his numbers in his last 50 games, he's sucked. Anthony Volpe is batting .247 with 48 hits, 5 home runs, 24 RBIs, and he's only scored 24 runs in his last 50 games. He was the leadoff hitter at one point because he was swinging the bat great. But now he sucks. What the hell happened? I want to ask questions about Francisco Alvarez. I want to ask questions about Anthony Volpe. Is he overrated? Is he? Because when we're going down the stretch right now, Yankees want to win the division. They need their lineup more than ever because their pitching sucks right now. They need their lineup. When Volpe was swinging the bat well, when Volpe was hitting consistently, when he was getting on base, 1, he was stealing more bases, and 2, the Yankees were the best team in baseball. Am I saying Volpe is the most valuable player? No. But what I'm saying is when Volpe's swinging the bat well, the Yankees are that good. The Yankees were the best team in baseball. They were the first team to 50 wins this year because Anthony Volpe, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge were all swinging the bat well. And Judge wasn't even swinging the bat that well then. Judge struggled. Judge was hitting under 200 for his first 20 games of the year. So now you factor in Judge is playing like the best player of all time. And yeah, he is. He is. I don't care what anybody says. Aaron Judge, at least to me, he's the best player of all time to swing a baseball bat. He is. But that's not what we're talking about right now. If Anthony Volpe starts producing, just like for the Mets, if Pete Alonso starts producing, it's a cakewalk to the playoffs. You don't got to be that worried about the pitching because then you got 3 all-stars in your lineup. And Stanton's back, and he's hitting home runs. He's been having a great year, actually. Austin Wells is having a great year, too. Got to give him credit as well. The Yankees would walk away with the division if Anthony Volpe can actually hit consistently. And over these past 6 games, I got to give him credit. 9 hits in his last 6 games, but we got to see it consistently. I don't know if I take Volpe in a heartbeat. 1, I mean, my team already got Lindor. Defensively, screw Volpe, man. Lindor is one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. And Lindor is light years ahead of him offensively. Light years ahead. I mean, you look at Lindor's numbers. My dog wants to participate in this show. You take a look at Lindor's numbers in his first 2 years compared to Volpe's. I don't think we'd be saying that, Yuki. That's the one thing I'd actually disagree with you on. Yuki, you got a lot of good takes, man, but that's the only bad take I think you've made. So, Yuki, I don't agree with you there, man. I do not agree with you on that one. I would not take Volpe in a heartbeat. I wouldn't. I'd take a Med Rosario over Anthony Volpe. I really would. And I think the Yankees should have traded for him. We got lost. But what I'm saying is, I think Yankees folded at the deadline. I think they're overhyping. I think they're overrating Anthony Volpe as an organization. I think they overrated their bullpen as an organization at the trade deadline, and their starting rotation in general. I think they need to be more of a risk taker. The Yankees need to start taking risk. They haven't taken risk in a long, long time. You could say Juan Soto is a risk, but at the end of the day, is Juan Soto really a risk? He's a 25-year-old superstar who's he hasn't won an MVP, but he's a 4-time All-Star, and he's only 25 years old. So that is not a risk. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is not a risk, especially considering what they gave up. Signing Aaron Judge to an 8-year contract extension is not a risk. Bringing in Garrett Cole is not a risk. The Yankees need to take risk again. They failed to take risk at the deadline. They failed to take risk over the offseason, and that's with signing Juan Soto. Because, like I said before, Juan Soto is not a risk. Juan Soto is a guarantee. And re-signing Juan Soto in the offseason is not a risk either. And we're going to talk about that on next week's episode. Are the Mets or the Yankees going to get Juan Soto? Because it seems like, according to Jeff Passan, that the Mets are just in the race to get Juan Soto. They want him too. Steve Cohen has money. We all know that. So, listen, Yankees, they got to step up their game. They definitely do. Because going down the stretch, the easiest way for them to get to the World Series is winning the division. It's winning the division. And they need their pitching to get going. They need their bullpen to they just need their pitching to get going. Because their lineup is fine. They scored 7 runs tonight. But they also let up 14. So, Yankees, quite frankly, you want to win ball games again, start pitching well. Plain and simple. Mets, you want a cakewalk to the postseason, tell Pete Alonso to wake his ass up. That's it. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys. We're up to over 300 finally on YouTube subscribers. If you're not subscribed on YouTube and you're watching on X, go over to my X account. All you got to do is click that ugly picture of me right in the corner. I believe it's on the bottom left. You click Linktree, you click YouTube, you click subscribe. It takes 30 seconds maximum. That's all it takes. 30 seconds. Go do it. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Let's go, Max. Thank you, Yuki. I appreciate you for commenting and joining the show today. I always appreciate you, man, for joining in and, getting me going. Let's go, Mets, down the stretch. We got a soft schedule coming up. Yankees, on the other hand, they do not. So we'll see what happens. But I will see you guys next week. Have a happy Labor Day. Enjoy the barbecues. And just so you know, the reason Labor Day started actually was because of working men in New York. So shout out to you working men in New York. and woman too, because even though women weren't working then, they work now. So shout out to you, woman, as well.